Congratulations as Authentic wins the Kentucky Derby, upsetting Tiz the Law. Authentic is that Bob Baffert horse and is not named after Nancy Pelosi's hair color. Hey, good morning, everybody. Happy Labor Day. It's Sunday morning. The toast is toasting, the butter is buttering, the coffee is brewing. I'm here, you're here, and thank you for tuning in to Mornings LALATE every morning at 8:30 Pacific Standard Time, 11:30 Eastern Standard Time, a part of the 3.5-hour programming schedule here at LALATE. Boy, incredible news across the country and stimulus updates and stimulus check updates, which I'll be getting to shortly. But first, a broad stroke of the major news across the country that you should know about this morning. First, in California, major fires are rampaging several communities out of control. The Valley Fire started overnight in San Diego County. It's now at 1,500 acres and is 0% contained. It started at Chaparral Road and Carvera Acre Road southeast of Alpine. The El Dorado fire also started overnight. Also, evacuations orders are in effect for the community of Carve Acre, which is southeast of Alpine. A temporary evacuation point has been set up at Steel Canyon Road. In San Bernardino, yet another fire is burning, 1,500 acres, 0% contained, on Oak Glen Road at Potato Canyon Road, west of Oak Glen. Evacuation orders are in place for the communities of Oak Glen, Yucaipa Road, and Mountain Home Village. My thoughts and prayers are with those communities of Yucaipa and neighboring towns. The Tour de France is underway currently, stage 9 in Paris and in France. And today they go from Pau to Lorraine. The yellow jersey is being worn by the incredible Andrew Yates for stage 9 today. The green jersey is continuing to be dominated by Peter Sagan, who always seems to be in the green jersey. And then the polka dot jersey today, the King of the Mountain, is being held by Cosnefroy, and young driver is Edward Bernal. Great to see that. In soccer, big games coming up today if you don't want to miss them. Ireland versus Finland at 9 a.m. This is the UEFA Nations League. Spain versus Ukraine, 11:45. Switzerland versus Germany at 11:45 as well. Over in basketball, boy, some big games today. Eastern semifinals, Game 4, Bucks versus Heat, 11:30 a.m. ABC. The Miami leads the series 4-0. This should be a good one. And here in the West, all eyes are on the West semifinals. Game 2, as Houston leads in the Rockets versus Lakers. This is a series in which Rockets are leading 1-0. Come on, Lakers, let's get it together. Over in golf, the PGA Tour Championship enters round 3, not round 4. Usually round 4 would be on Sunday, but because of Labor Day weekend, it is today round 3. Dustin Johnson starts today round 3 in the lead. He has a marginal lead of 13 under. Xander Schauffele is 11 under, and Justin Thomas is just right behind them. Rory McIlroy, of course, is the defending champion. He is 5 strokes off the lead. Over in college football, Monday should be a great game as BVNs versus Navies at 5 p.m. on ESPN. But this morning, oh boy, college football power rankings were announced. And the power rankings are not about Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer. They're about college football. Alabama came in first in the power rankings, followed by Georgia Bulldogs, Florida Gators at 4th, Notre Dame Fighting Irish at 5th, and Oklahoma Sooners at 6th. Followed, of course, by LSU, Texas, A&M, Texas Longhorns, and Auburn Tigers to round out the 10th. All right, so there you go. With less than 4 minutes into this video, let's get to the incredible details about second stimulus. Stimulus will be delivered in a new package, not the skinny bill, not the HEALS Act, not the HEROES Act, but a total new bill with a new name and a new set of shoes this Tuesday. It will be introduced to the Senate by Republicans, written by Republicans, amid weeks of negotiations quietly outside of the purview of cameras and reporters. We already know nearly everything there needs to be known about the bill. Why? Because we've had consistent press briefings from Steve Mnuchin, Mark Meadows, Donald Trump via Mike Pence, even Larry Kudlow. And the details are the following. Next week's bill will be $550 billion. It will cover only a series of finite issues. The first is stimulus checks. Yes, stimulus checks will be in next week's bill. Second, FPUC. Third, money for schools for COVID-19. This is a K to 12. And finally, money for testing. That is it. There is nothing else in there. Now, what I have to explain to you is the following, is that as we start Tuesday, which you need to be on high alert, and certainly some of you don't have to be. Let me preface this. I really love the comments I saw overnight where people said, "Hey, I saw your special yesterday where you slammed that news publication that's delivering false news, and I only get news from you, LALATE now." I really appreciate that, and that's why I'm broadening the scope, because a lot of you don't have other sources to get news from because of your economic situation. Others of you simply elect to stay only with LALATE for your news. So I'm broadening the scope so you know a little bit about everything going on in the country today. But there are others of you who are still reading other publications, which is fine. But those other publications are totally off base. And this is the high warning you need to have coming into Tuesday. There are several publications out there that clearly have the Democratic maneuvers or lobbyists or partisan people in their pockets because they're delivering false narrative reports. And these false narrative reports are very disconcerting because it's causing a lot of confusion for a lot of people that are watching this or other news sites. And so among the false narratives that are out there is what's in the second stimulus package next week. Another channel who I greatly admire and respect slammed the publication, much as I did, and also called out other channels that were citing the publication yesterday. That publication misquoted deliberately Mike Pence's comments about second stimulus checks and next week's bill. Mike Pence specifically says you're getting stimulus checks, that this president wants to give you stimulus checks, and you're getting stimulus checks. But this same publication that continues to misrepresent everything about the Republicans and everything they're doing, not only from the name of the bill to the provisions of the bill, are now misquoting people so that you think you aren't getting things. So the important thing to understand is going into next week that you know what you're getting and what's on the table and what's happening. And I have incredible great news about what you need to do going into next week. First, next week's stimulus check will be $1,200 for single individuals. Yesterday, I detailed that President Trump has $300 billion in allocated resources set aside that he can tap upon and that may tap upon to send out second stimulus checks. And yesterday, I did an on-air calculation based upon the number of people who are eligible for second stimulus checks divided into the number 300 billion, which came to, I think, 1,875. Some viewers saw that video and said, "Oh, so we're getting a check also for 1875. No. No, you're not getting two stimulus checks, and no, the stimulus check is not 1875. The purpose of that on-air calculation was to show you that the president, separate and apart from next week's bill, has access to send out stimulus checks by executive order with enough funds to cover everyone if it's not done this path next week. More about that in a second. $1,200 second stimulus check. Dependents, don't know the amount. Don't know the amount for dependents. Child support, don't know what's going to happen with child support. Number of individuals in the household, don't know. We simply don't know. We can predict, we can review prior offers and negotiations from the parties, but we simply don't know. We have not been told. Let's make it very clearly. We have not been told. We have been told by Steve Mnuchin, Mark Meadows, everyone involved, that next week's bill will include a stimulus check for American households. And to be very clear, stimulus check is often called direct deposit or it's called economic impact payments. So if you hear these words, it also refers to that. But the possibilities for the dependents is $1,200 or $500. The possibilities for child support is it's taken out or it's not taken out. The possibilities for a number of individual households is 3 to 5. It's all over the place. Married couples will be $2,400. That's clear. And the threshold to get the second stimulus check will be the same as the first round. That's also very clear. All right, so now let's get to the issue of FPUC. FPUC will also be debuted next week. It will have certain provisions that we absolutely know and other provisions we don't know. The one we don't know is the amount. We simply just don't know the amount because we haven't been told the amount. We know the provisions because we've been told the provisions. It will be to December 31st. It will be retroactive. It will overcompensate for LWAs in bridge. So if LWA paid you $300, you're not going to get LWA plus FPUC. You will probably get the spread between them. And finally, the things we simply just don't know about it. Okay, first, the amount of FPUC. We don't know where it will be. We certainly know it's not going to be $600. We certainly know it's not going to be $200. We think it's going to be generally $400. It may be $300. It highly won't be $500. And this is based upon prior negotiations of the parties. Steve Mnuchin offered $400. Donald Trump offered $400. The executive order that created LWA is basically $400. So this is incredible, great news. Very, very clear. Next, we don't know, and I got this question overnight. It's a great question. I love it. Will there be an extension of PUA for additional weeks? Because you know PUA under the CARES Act was only 30-something weeks. Will it extend PUA? Don't know. Will it extend FPUC, which is the number of weeks that was the extended number of weeks for UI? Don't know. If I was to guess, I would say no to both because there's been absolutely no chatter about it. Next, I've gotten this question a lot in the last 24 hours, so I really need to address it for you. It's so important to understand and know the answer, which is if you're on UI benefits or PUA, you need to understand you're not running out of benefits this week. If you just started UI or PUA in March when this pandemic hit, if you're a new person on unemployment benefits, whether it's PUA or UI, just since March, you're not running out of benefits anytime soon. Let's make very clear. PUA is about 30-something weeks. So 30-something weeks is not September. So this is really great news. Next. UI. If you started UI in March, you're just not running out of UI now. First, you have normal UI. Then you have FPEUC, which gives you additional weeks of extended benefits under the CARES Act, brings you all the way, probably almost to December. And then some states have what's called extended benefits. By order of the Constitution, they can extend benefits additionally themselves. So you have 2 extensions possible when you're on UI. So if you started UI in March, you're not expiring now. If you started PUA, you're not expiring now either. These are all incredible, great news. Finally, all the other questions out there that people are asking about, where is this and where is that and where can this happen? We have certain answers that are absolutely definitive, and then we have other situations we don't have answers to. We have definitive answers from Steve Mnuchin that PPP will be in what I'm calling phase 2, a stage of a second stimulus package, or you could also call it the third stimulus package. Remember, next week is $550 billion. It's only for a few issues, the ones I just went over with you: stimulus checks, FPUC, schools, and testing. Then there's a $650 billion bill that will follow thereafter. Now, when I say $650 billion, we know a few things about that. 1, we know it's $650 billion. 2, we know it could go higher. Why? Because 550 plus 650 doesn't get you to 1.3 trillion. It's a little bit shy. The President float offered 1.3 trillion officially about a week ago, and that number's still on the table. Well, that's not the summation of the two numbers. So Steve Mnuchin says the second phase of the second stimulus package coming up next week, the second phase of the third stimulus package. I mean, we have to choose a name for this because it's like, is it Larry's and Moe's and Herker? I mean, what is it called? The second stage of next week's second stimulus package. My God, that's hard to say. It will be introduced later in September, and it will have in it some great stuff. But what is the great stuff? We have clarity about some things and other things we don't have clarity on. We have clarity to include PPP. Absolutely. We have clarity that it'll include money for state and local, not the amount that the Temple of Doom wants. Now, the things we don't have clarity about. Will it include more money for EIDL grants? Don't know. Will it include more money for EIDL loan? Don't know. Will it include more money for, or some money, not more money because we haven't got any money yet, right? Money for hazard pay. Yeah. Will that bill late September have hazard pay in it? That is the $1 million question. Don't know. Really don't know. And then everything else. Will it have money for food? Yes. Will it have money for student loan debt repayments? Maybe. Will it have money for rent? It certainly has to. I mean, if it doesn't, I think someone's going to get torched and scorched, or whatever the expression is. That is one of those things that it absolutely has to have something in there. When will we know what it has in there? We would likely see it in the next 2 weeks. At this point, we're going to hear it, but we haven't heard much about that. As we start next Tuesday, there are a couple things that you need to know. First, there's going to be really bad false reporting. There's outlets out there that are really feeding false Democratic narratives out there about why next week's bill doesn't have certain things in it or does have things. They're very bad reports, and they're done intentionally false. So please stay with me because they are just all off the board. But what you need to know, and here's your power of the purple. I mean, as we start a Sunday morning, and you feel a little bit energized, and you feel in the mood to do something, here is your power of the purple. One, you could certainly be tweeting the president, Mnuchin, Meadows, Kudlow. Well, actually, Kudlow's not really on Twitter that much, and say, hashtag send out the checks. The president has said he has executive authority to send out the checks. If you read the entire quote, and I'm not going to go over this again, but if you read the entire quote, he first says, well, some people say I don't have authority, but there is a theory that I do have the authority. AKA, he believes he has the authority by some inherent briefing from his lawyers. That's the first thing. Second, when we talk about inability to send out stimulus checks, it's usually by money of Treasury. The money he's talking about is not Treasury money. Yeah, he has the authority to send out the money because it's not Treasury authority. Moreover, I didn't do this yesterday. Let's assume he absolutely has no authority to do it, and he sends out the checks. What's Nancy Pelosi going to do? Go to court and stop him from sending you stimulus checks? She's not going to do that. She'll never do that. It will literally make her the mockery of the entire country. That at the moment of desperate need, when America needs stimulus checks, the Democrats are running to court to block you from getting stimulus checks. She'll never do that. He knows that. But let me get right to the detail, is why don't you be tweeting the president, say, send out the stimulus checks now? A lot of people overnight ask me, hey, LALATE, if he could send out the stimulus checks now by executive order, why does he just send them out? I agree. And I saw your comments, and you saw my report yesterday, that the stimulus checks may come by executive order and may come by this bill next week, really on the eve of you filling out your mail-in ballot. And boy, you were not happy to hear that. I was not the first to report this. This was not the first time for me to report this. I reported this, I think, over 2 months ago. I said, these were my exact words, don't dangle a carrot over the mouths of American people on the eve of the election, because they will know exactly what you're doing and they won't vote for you. So under that scenario, if the president wants to get the benefit of sending out a stimulus check, send it out now. Don't send it out the minute before people go vote. That's so obvious what you're doing. So if you think the stimulus check should go out from the president by executive order, tweet him. Tweet his members of his staff, Meadows and Mnuchin and everyone else. Say, send out the checks now. If you got the money, you got $350 billion, send out the money right now. Next, if you have a pen and paper, pull it out. Because here are the people that you should be reaching out to. These are the senators who are up for re-election. Yeah, I'm going here. I'm going there. These are the senators who are up for re-election. And these are the people that need to get you a stimulus check. If they don't want to sign next week's bill, whether Republican or Democrat, to give you a stimulus check and to give you unemployment benefits, they need to go. You know where they need to go? Well, I got to keep this a clean channel. Let's just say they need to go home. Yeah, there's that other place they need to go where where they wear a lot of red, but let's keep this very polite. They need to go somewhere, and it's not back to their seat this January. Get ready. If you are from these states, you need to be tweeting your senator and saying, sign the bill next week, or whatever hashtag you want to use, or whatever thing you want to use. Send them the videos of this channel. Say, watch this video, Senator. You need to sign the bill. You need to take these videos for this channel and send it to your senators, send it to Trump, and say, send out the money, send the check. Here we go. Alabama, Democrat Doug Jones. Alaska, Republican Dan Sullivan. These are the people up for re-election that, if they don't get you to chat, if they are not voting for it, well, these are the people who are up for re-election. These are the people you need to target if you're electorates of their state to say, send the money, vote for the bill, vote in favor of the bill. Arizona, Republican Martha McSally. Arkansas, Republican Tom Cotton. Colorado, Republican Cory Gardner. Delaware, Democrat Chris Coons. Georgia, Republican David Perdue. Georgia, Republican Kelly Loeffler. If I'm pronouncing someone's name wrong, don't kill me here. Idaho, Republican Jim Risch. Illinois, Democrat Dick Durbin. Iowa, Republican Joni Ernst. Kansas, Republican Pat Roberts. Kentucky, Republican Mitch McConnell. Louisiana, Republican Bill Cassidy. Maine, Republican Susan Collins. Massachusetts, Democrat Ed Markey. Okay. Michigan, Democrat Gary Peters. Okay. Minnesota, Democratic Tina Smith. Mississippi, Cindy Hyde Smith. Montana, Republican Steve Daines. Nebraska, Ben Sasse. New Hampshire, Jeannie Shashley. New Jersey, Democratic Cory Booker. Okay, I know I have a lot of New Jersey viewers. Cory Booker did nothing for you for EIDL loan. I remember when you reached out to Cory Booker to help you for EIDL loan with Travita Carranza. He did nothing. If you want him gone, you better reach out to him. New Mexico, Democrat Tom Duodow. North Carolina, Thom Tillis. Boy, that's a hard one to say. Republican, I'm so sorry. Oklahoma, Republican Jim Inofre. Oregon, Democrat Jeff Merkley. Rhode Island, Democrat Jack Reed. South Carolina, Lindsey Graham. South Dakota, Mike Rons, both Republicans there. Also Republican Tennessee, Lamar Alexander. Texas, Republican John Corcoran. Virginia, Democrat Mark Warner. West Virginia, Republican Shelley Capital. And Wyoming, Republican Mike Enzi. Now, if you're not in any of those states and you're wondering how you can be involved, you need to really target the Democrats, because those are the ones you need to make sure that they vote, that they jump party lines, they don't vote with their caucus, and that they vote in favor of this. These are Doug Jones, Dick Durbin, Ed Markey, Gary Peters, Tina Smith, Cory Booker, Tom Udall, and Jack Reed and Mark Warner. Boy, what a day it has been. My prayers are with the firefighters here in California that are really battling out-of-control fires. The heat wave is really rampant. What I urge you this Labor Day is really be cautious of COVID-19. I remember what happened the last 3-day weekend where people, whether it was 4th of July or the one before, where people just sort of, ignored COVID-19. We all know there's going to be an upsurge of cases after today because of people who don't do social distancing. What I recommend you to do is always remain as far as possible as you can from other people. Wear masks in public. Keep your hands clean. Keep your hands sanitized. And don't do things that are sort of reckless and ignorant for the sake of just having a little fun. Ultimately, the impact of COVID-19 is horrific. As someone who has known someone who has gotten COVID-19, you don't recover within a few days. You are literally in pain for weeks, and then your loss of breathing just continues for weeks thereafter. So stay safe and stay calm. Like this video. First of all, go to the front channel and subscribe. We're trying to reach 250,000 subscribers. I know a lot of you are away for the Labor Day weekend or not tuning in. So let's get as many subscribers as we can. Share these videos and tell your friends to subscribe to this channel. We're trying to add more subscribers and get to 250,000. So let's do it. We're pretty close, but we slowed down because it is the 3-day week and a lot of people are just not on their computers. So subscribe and hit the alert. If you are a subscriber, make sure there's a little red button next to your name. If there's not, go down to the pinned comment to this video where it'll show you how to ensure that you're a subscriber, and then hit the alert button so you get alert when a new video goes live. Finally, like this video. Liking this video helps the video appear higher in the algorithm, appearing higher in the ranks, and helps other people find the video. Coming up afternoon is Afternoons LALATE at 3:30 with a whole slate of programming for you as well. As always, stay informed, stay motivated, stay smiling, and stay valid.